All right, we are recording. Welcome to part 2 of episode 1 of the Foley and James podcast, name to be determined. We are continuing where we left off regarding our travels in South America. We have previously spoken about why we wanted to go to South America, how we planned it, where we went, what our route was, and currently you followed us we followed me from Brazil down to Buenos Aires, and you followed Foley from Lima to me in Brazil, and then down to Buenos Aires. We are now going to pick up where we left off, moving to Ushuaia, the very south of Argentina, the most southern city in the world, and gradually make our way up to the northern parts of South America, with me ending up in Peru, Foley ending up in Colombia, getting ready to go on to the US, which will form the part of our next podcast. I hope you enjoy this, everybody. Let's go. Alright, so what was next?
We went from, when we were in Buenos Aires, obviously I mentioned Ollie, Ivy and Hannah, and we kind of it was brought up that they were going to Ushuaia, which is the world's most southern city, next stop Antarctica, and right down the bottom of Argentina, right down in Patagonia. And you brought it up that it's like, oh, that'd be interesting, essentially. And then we started looking at flights and buses and stuff, and I was very hesitant because it was just like, yeah, okay, that'd be fine. Like, it's cool to go that far south, but how much are the flights? All right, yeah, it's a 30-hour bus journey. So I don't know if it's worth it. And then you're like, yeah, all right, well. And then you mentioned the date we'd be flying on.
That's right.
Yeah, so the date we would have been flying on is the 17th of March. In case any of you don't know for some reason, that's Paddy's Day. And that kind of, you said that, we'd be flying on the 17th of March, and I think I just said something like, all right, give me a minute. Hopped onto my phone, literally just typed into Google, Irish pubs Ushuaia. Turned out there was two of them. It's like, all right, yeah, let's go. That was
I genuinely didn't realise. I mean, you're Irish, so of course St. Patrick's Day is in your calendar, right? Absolutely. Like, for me, it's something we celebrated at uni because it was an excuse to get pissed, which I know is essentially what happens on Paddy's Day anyway, but it's not really in my head as a holiday, right? And so when I said the 17th of March and you said, give me a minute, I didn't really think anything of it. But for you, it was like, this could be a big chance.
Yeah, this could be a story. So, of course, yeah, as I said, like, we found out there's two Irish pubs, and yeah, a chance to spend Paddy's Day in the world's most southern Irish bar is just like, yeah, why not? Normally, I'm not the type of person that'll go halfway around the world just to go to an Irish bar. I don't see the point in that. But on Paddy's Day, you got to go to an Irish pub. You know, realistically. Absolutely. So, we did that, and then we ended up finding out that Hannah was on the same flight as us. So,
that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so we met her at the airport. She was ridiculously hungover.
Well, she was still, like, she hadn't really gone to bed either. Like, she'd gone out. Our flight was early in the morning, and she just come straight from the club, essentially, to the airport.
Pretty much. So, she suffered through the flight. We were fine, had a few beers in the airport, so slept for an hour or so, which was good. And then we got there and got to the hostel, lovely little hostel. We were down south, and you know it was a bit colder, obviously, because it was literally next stop Antarctica. So for you, you know, it was essentially Antarctica. And so a lovely little hostel.
Explain that.
Oh, you just like it could be a degree colder than yesterday, and you'll complain about the cold. If yesterday could have been 40 degrees. So, that's I don't think that's an over-exaggeration at all.
I'll allow that.
So the hostel was really nice. Just went to the supermarket, got some beer, and we pretty much drank all day. And I say all day, like it would have been 4 or 5 o'clock before we got settled in the hostel and got some food into us anyways. Then we went out to this Irish bar, and the place was packed. And I mean wedged. Like, we just about got standing room. Yeah. And I'd say there was at least 40 or 50 Irish in there. And it's the kind of thing, it's like, where the hell have these people come from?
Yes, you just all materialized like for this one day.
Yeah, I never see them again ever. Never seen them before, never seen them again. But for 17th of March, you know everyone Irish that's in there. Like, oh, of course I know you. Yeah, where are you from? Are you? Yeah, of course. Yeah. So yeah, that was a good day. And then while we were in Ushuaia, we kind of the plan came up, really, didn't it, to do the hike?
Yes, the hike in Chile. There was an 8-day hike through the Andes in Patagonia, which just saying that sentence sounds incredible. So I was really keen to do it. You were up for it, but I don't think you were entirely sure if you want to do the full 8 days to begin with. And we were just going to see if we could get the equipment and stuff, right?
Yeah. It was very much like that. I was just like, I don't know. I was kind of... And I don't know why now. Obviously, looking back, I'm so glad I did the full 8 days.
Same.
Even if on the 8th day I was just like, right, I'm over it now. But still so glad I did the full thing. I honestly don't know at the time why I was kind of like, him and hawing, but... And then, of course...
I think the big thing was just the equipment, mate. It was the cost
Probably,
of renting, trying to offset it against the cost of a hostel, and again, we're always thinking about money, particularly because I just lost my card, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was on half my budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so... Yeah, that was definitely a lot of it, I guess. So then, of course, we were looking around for equipment, and we were told by a couple of people, in fairness, like, it wasn't just one person saying it, that buy your equipment in Ushuaia in Argentina because it's a third of the price of what you would pay in Chile. Now, of course, that ended up not being the case. It was essentially the other way around.
It really was.
Yeah, which was so annoying, so frustrating, but it didn't matter. We got there and it's like, all right, well, we have a tent, we have our sleeping bags, whatever. But of course, we ended up crossing the border into Chile. And we went to Chile.
Well, one second. Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
Because getting you had to get cash out for that to pay for your half of the tent, essentially.
Oh, I was jumping ahead to jump back. Don't worry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No. So essentially, all I was going to say is that we got to Chile, and I went to get cash out and realized I had left my card in an ATM in Argentina.
Yep. So now we're at. You've lost a card. I've lost a card. All your money was on that one card, so we were down to half of my budget. So half of only one person's budget for two people.
Yeah, essentially.
And we're at the most southern point in the world. We can't be further away from home right now. Like, it's not possible.
Yeah, pretty much. And like we were, I don't want to say lucky, but we were kind of. It slightly softened the blow a little bit because we knew we had pretty much enough money already for the next 8 days.
Yes.
Or for the next 10 days, we'll say, including the couple of nights in the hostel beforehand and the couple of nights in the hostel afterwards. So we knew we were okay maybe for the next 2 weeks. Because we had bought all of our stuff. We'd be bringing our food with us. Once we were there, we might have to pay, 20 pesos. No, that'd be more than that. A couple of 100 pesos a night to camp, which ended up being less than $10 a night.
That's right, and that was rough. That was sort of our rough ballpark that we were saying for hostels. That's our max limit is around $10 a night, so it fitted, with our idea.
Yeah. And I think we could almost do another 20 minutes on the hike itself, but
we could just say what it was. It was mountains, glaciers. It was really tough, and we were so you can do different types of. You can do a 1 day, a 3 day, a 5 day, or an 8 day hike. We did the 8 day, the full route, and there weren't many people that did that, and so we were camping with the same few people every night, and
which was really nice.
We really got to know them, and we kind of felt like we were together. And when we got onto the side of the route that was the tourist bit, where it was still 1 and a 3 dayers, where it was packed, we just kind of really sort of. We're better than we really closed in within our group,
Yeah. We it didn't happen. We didn't obviously choose for it to happen, but it just happened that we kind of had that. Yeah, look at these pretenders.
Because it was genuinely hard. It was a genuine effort.
It was.
That we went. We'd been through quite a lot of. It was tough. We'd been through a lot to get to the point we were, whereas they just driven it.
Including the very first night. So it was myself, yourself. And this girl, Hannah, we shared a 4-man tent. So we normally kept our bags in the little porch area of the tent, but on the very first night, Hannah's snacks and treats got stolen by something. We don't know, to this day, we don't definitely know what type of animal it was.
No.
Because it was
But
in the
the
middle of
thing
the
was,
night.
yeah, I woke up. I was closest to the porch area of the tent, as you say. So I woke up hearing a sort of snuffling of the tent, and then there was this big thud. And the reason what we then learned was, so your two bags were on the floor, and my bag was balanced on top of yours. And as whatever it was, it didn't just steal her food; it pulled her whole bag out of the tent before it then got the food. So what it was my bag hitting the ground as her bag was taken from underneath. But what had happened is this thing, the park rangers said it must have been a jaguar. We thought it might have been rats, but a couple of park rangers thought it might have been a jaguar. So we weren't sure, but there were some pretty big slashes on the bag anyway.
Right, and I do remember I went up to go for a piss, and all I remember is seeing what at the time seemed like a very big shadow of an animal, like the outline of an animal. I remember that while I was having a piss, and I was just like, "Oh my god, hurry up and finish pissing! Hurry up and finish pissing!" Back in the tent, it's a good job.
You pissed yourself out of fear.
I was just about to say it's a good job I had it out. So yeah, that was the first night. So obviously that put a little bit of a downer for an hour or two the next morning, just because it was probably a third of her food,
Yeah, man.
That essentially got stolen.
We had to pack for 8 days worth of food. On day 4, you are 4 days walk away from the nearest road. If you injure yourself, they have to walk a horse for 4 days to get to you.
Yeah. It's insane. So, but it was one of the best things I think I've ever done. Really, we were lucky. So, we came up. I can't remember what day it was. It might have been the 4th day, but you come up over the top of the highest climb, and I was the first one up. And literally, I think was it you or Hannah that came up behind me, and I think it must have been Hannah, because she said it to me. It's all she saw was me just dropping my bag and staring, because you come up over the top and all you see is this giant glacier right in front of you, and it was phenomenal.
It was amazing. It was the mountain pass, that was the thing, and that was the hard day of hiking, because we got up to essentially base camp where we stayed the night before, and this was in a forest. It was trees, it was green, it was leafy. Now, just to put into perspective where we were going, at the top we were climbing over snow. It was slippy. We were climbing over streams and snow at the very top of this mountain pass that we were trying to do. We had to be lucky that the weather was clear in order to attempt the mountain pass. You weren't allowed to do it by yourself because it's dangerous. This was a real bit of hiking, and getting to that top took 4 hours of uphill clambering against snow and water and everything. And yeah, you get to that very peak of it, and then all of a sudden in front of you just an expanse below you of glacier, and it was as you say, it was incredible. It
was amazing. Then we continued on that, and 8 days, got back to our hostel, and it was great. I don't know if I kind of realized, or if it sunk in the first couple of days after. I don't think it did. I think it wasn't until we were traveling again, maybe we got up to another town or two. It's holy crap, we actually did that.
Me too. I loved, actually, when we arrived back at the hostel, like I mentioned, we became a little bit of a group with some of the others who'd done the full thing, and you offered to cook, because you could cook a chili. That's your sort of signature meal. And so we all went to the supermarket as a group. There was 6 of us, and we were the only ones in the hostel. And there was this table in the communal area, so we pulled up 6 chairs. You made a massive vat of chili, and we sat down like a family and had this lovely meal after 8 days of camping, not being able to shower, not being able to change clothes, only eating camp food. And we had this lovely chili around the table with a group of people that we felt like we really had an experience with. It was great.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. There's me, you, Hannah. There was Patrick, the Canadian guy. There was
and his girlfriend.
Was it his girlfriend?
I assume so.
A girl. Sorry, yeah.
They were both French Canadian. I assume they were.
No,
together.
no. You're thinking of I know the ones you're thinking of. You're thinking of I think Corrine or something her name was.
Yeah.
I know the ones I'm thinking of Patrick. Remember the guy with the long hair?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, him. He was there. There was the German guy whose name I can't remember.
Leon, he was called.
Leon. Yeah, and I can't remember who the sixth one was. But there definitely was a sixth one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like that was brilliant. It really was. That was nice to get back to actually warm showers as well. I wasn't too bad because even then I had been doing the whole cold shower thing. Like even now I'll only ever have one like a warm shower roughly every 10 days or 2 weeks. Everything else will be cold showers.
Even though you're in the Great White North at the moment.
Yeah.
That's not for me, man. That's not for me. Do you remember? Obviously, we had to get cash. We had to get money now, and if you remember, we're down to half of my budget for the two of us. And do you remember we had to go to the cash machine, and this was a tiny village. But this village is only there to serve the tourists going to the mountains, so there's not like a huge bank or anything. And I went there and got out a few thousand pesos, which is what, 20 euros. Like it's not much. And but I didn't realise I actually had emptied the bank, and the person who went after me put in their PIN and it said there's no cash available, so I'd actually emptied the bank for that town, and no one else
forgotten about that.
until. Do you remember that?
I'd forgotten about that. Yeah. That was brilliant. Yeah. So yeah, we moved on from there, and then we, as you said, we zigzagged our way up the Andes, until we got like including Bariloche and.
Well, first was El Calafate.
El Calafate, yeah.
And then El Chalten, and then we just had enough.
Yeah.
Go on. What were you going to say?
No. Was El Chalten first or El Calafate first?
El Calafate was first. That was where.
Okay.
That was where the other glacier was, and we decided not to see it because we just experienced the other one.
Yes, that was the one that had the really nice ice cream.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we went to El Chalten because we were told that was wonderful for hiking as well, and you ended up getting sick, do you remember?
Yeah, I wasn't, yeah, that wasn't good.
And we're in Argentina at this point, so the hike was in Chile, but we zigzagged into Argentina, and we'd taken dollars into Argentina that we got in Chile, and changed them up. But outside of Buenos Aires, the exchange rate plummets. So in Buenos Aires, we're getting 12 to 1. In the south of Argentina, you get just above the government rate, so about 9 or 10 to 1.
I think we got 10 or 10 and a half.
Yeah, I think we did.
We never even mentioned it. Torres del Paine was the name of the national park where the hike was.
That's right. That's right. And and so we were getting screwed out of our cash just because of the exchange rate, and we couldn't afford that because we didn't have any money, really, you know. We decided to just get out of Patagonia at that point. We felt like we'd really experienced it, and it was fantastic, but we felt like our time there, we'd done it, and it was the time to go. Now, we ended up in Santiago, but do you want to say where our sort of goal was, because we're running out of money at this point?
So our goal ended up being a little town outside of Santiago. So there was Santiago, and then there was the place called Curico, and then there's a little place outside of Curico, where we were aiming to go for, because I had a replacement card being sent to a nun who lived there. She was from Ireland, who lived there. Her sister Mary T. McDonough was her name, but her sister-in-law knew my mother quite well. Just obviously.
Because all you Irish know each other.
Yeah. This is an element of stereotype, so I'm not going to defend it.
Can I interrupt there? Because just supporting that stereotype even further, who was it we met in Buenos Aires, I think, who knew an Irish person, and then you were like, "Oh, is it this person?" And you knew her or something.
Oh, that was down in El Calafate, wasn't it? Or El Chalten, one of them.
Yeah, and what was
in the hostel? We were leaving late that night, and we checked out, but you could leave your bags there. You could hang around in the hostel for the day. They didn't mind that. But yeah, these two Irish girls arrived in, and we were chatting away. And it's like, oh, what were you doing? They were like teaching English or something. I go, oh, a friend of mine is doing that. And I go, Amanda. And they go, oh yeah, Amanda Hurty. And it's like, yeah. And I had just worked with her the summer previous in a pub. So, again, not going to defend the whole notion that we all know each other.
Sorry, go back to what you were saying. I just wanted to bring that in.
So yeah, no, myself and the nun emailed a couple of times, and she was more than happy to have us stay with her for a while. We were only going to stay a couple of nights initially at most.
Just to get the card, wasn't it?
Yeah, just to get the card, but the card didn't arrive on time. That's a whole other, it was annoying to get the card, but we eventually got it. But we ended up staying for essentially a week with the nun, and it was one of the best weeks ever, because it was a little small town, maybe, 900 people at most. And, we had a personal tour of a winery arranged by Sister Mary. We had
No. Arranged by a guy she met on the bus.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. She said hello to a guy that she obviously knew from before, or knew vaguely from before, and we got a personal tour from this guy of a winery, which was
because the thing was, everyone in the village knew her because she was the nun, right? This is a very Catholic place, and it's a tiny village, and so everyone knew her, and they all knew. Gossip spreads fast. They all knew that she was having two. They thought we were both Irish, so she was having two Irish visitors come, and so they were all really keen to visit us. Although we couldn't really speak Spanish, we were getting better, but we couldn't really speak, and they couldn't speak any English.
No, they had less English than we had Spanish, and that's saying something. So yeah, and one of the nights we ended up getting a folk show, their local folk group. There was dancers, musicians, and singers, 14 of them in a group, and then there was the two of us sitting down being entertained.
But they sat us down as you would in a proper show. They had their performance area in this hall set up ready for them, and then where you would expect in a theatre to be all the chairs, rows and rows and rows of chairs, there were two chairs and right in the middle, and so it was a really bizarre feeling of sitting down formally for the show, but there's no one else there, and so when they were performing to you. It was quite a strange experience. Really good, but it was kind of unusual.
Yeah, it was very unusual, but amazing. Really, really amazing. And then, halfway through, we sang a few songs because we'd been practicing all the way back in Uruguay, wasn't it?
Yeah, was it Uruguay where we actually became professional musicians officially?
Yes, it was, because it was Uruguayan pesos.
That's right. So I play guitar and you sing.
Yeah.
And we didn't really plan it, but I realised I was just strumming, and I realised that we could have played "Let Me Entertain You" by Robbie Williams.
Yeah. Quite a slightly different version, but yeah.
It was a very different kind of candlelight acoustic version of "Let Me Entertain You" by Robbie Williams, but we did that, and there was this couple from Manchester there at the hostel, and they wanted to hear it, and so it sounds so romantic now. We went up to the rooftop of the hostel.
Well, it was in the same place that we had the romantic evening watching the sunset.
It was. So we had this romantic sunset, then the two of us went back to the hostel, walked up to the rooftop after sundown, where they had fairy lights lighting up the rooftop, and we sat down with the guitar, and this couple heard us just talking up, so they came up to join us, and they said, "What are you playing?" And I wasn't that confident. I don't know about you.
I was still reading all of the lyrics off my phone, so.
And so, but we did it, and they gave us 10 pesos, which is about a penny,
No, it was about 30 cents.
Was it 30p? It wasn't
about that,
much,
yeah.
Anyway.
No, it wasn't a lot at all.
We officially are paid musicians.
Yeah. So
and that led to us then later back in Curacao with the nun, after the local people showed us their traditional dance. We then played them a couple of songs that we had by that point practiced quite well. And also
including
made them
one
some
we
Irish
just
coffees,
learned that.
didn't we?
Yeah, I made them some Irish coffees. Well, they made us their local drink, which was I loved it.
It was great.
It was white wine, pineapple ice cream, Ferna Branca, and something else. I can't remember. But yeah, anyway, we made them Irish coffees, played a few songs, one which we had just learned that day.
That's true. That's true. We
Yeah.
had that country song, right? Devil Makes Three.
The folk song. It was Old Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really cool. And then we made them some Irish coffees as a return, which I say I had no idea how to make an Irish coffee, but they loved it.
Yeah, it was a bit of a makeshift because it was Scotch technically. So
that's true.
Yeah,
but we had the cream and we had the coffee and we had whiskey anyway, and we did that.
Sugar,
and a couple of them didn't really like it, but they all got one, and a couple of them didn't like it. There was one guy who just. Again, they can't communicate with us, but he just kept coming back and holding out his empty cup for us to fill up.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. Pretty insane.
And then one of the families invited us back to their house, didn't they? To come just celebrate further.
Yeah, and of course we had some of the local, in Ireland we call poaching. Over in North America it'd be moonshine. So yeah, we had some of their local stuff, and oh my god, it nearly blew the head off me.
In Europe we call that palinka.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was brilliant. And their whole family was there because the mother and father were in the group. The mother was one of the singers, father played guitar, and then the oldest daughter was actually one of the dancers, Romina.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot that's what she was called. But the whole family came. Obviously they lived in the house, but the uncle was there, and I think one of the grandparents came to visit.
Yeah,
came to see
and there was
us
a brother there, and everything.
Yeah.
Luckily, we were watching football, so that helped me anyway.
International language, man. It really was, because we couldn't speak to these people properly,
Nope. Not even
but
close.
Football was on, and they could say Manchester United, and we were, and all this sort of stuff. But we had a couple of shots, and that stuff knocked us out, and then we were just having a laugh. It didn't matter.
Exactly. So yeah, that was a great week there. In what was it's Sagrada Familia.
Sagrada Familia was the town outside of the town, and the village outside of the town was called Lo Valdivia.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one I was trying to remember. So we met the parish priest, and he cooked us a barbecue the next morning. After you got a haircut, it didn't wake me up for a haircut, even though it was my idea.
Cool. Yeah, that was. I forgot about that. That was a good haircut as well. We both needed a haircut.
I wouldn't know
this time. What?
I wouldn't know if it was a good haircut or not.
We've been travelling for about 2 months by this point, without having a haircut. So we both needed one. And yeah, you came up with the idea, and the nun said, "Well, there's this one of the villagers. She does the hair for the village. That's her little business."
And actually, in fairness, just remembering, I think it was there was one girl who had reasonably decent English. Manageable English. A girl roughly around our age. And I think was it her mother that was the hairdresser or something?
That's right, it was. We didn't really understand it. It was either her mother or the mother of a friend of hers or something.
Yeah. But anyways, you got a haircut. I slept in, but we both got a barbecue, which is the real important thing. Cooked by the parish priest who knew about 3 full sentences in English.
That's right. Oh, actually, it was also in Curacao that we learned how to sew.
That is, that's putting it generously. It is in Curacao that we started sewing.
No, I think, that was all, really.
That was,
right? We went back
we helped a little bit. We took some acorns down off a tree. Or some walnuts, was it? Or I can't remember.
We did walnuts, and then we picked, was it corn? Oh no, we loaded the wagon with bags of corn, sweet corn.
Yes.
So the back garden of the nun's house was like an allotment, and the villagers would make produce, make vegetables and stuff.
I feel really bad now. We never got around to cutting the grass.
Oh yeah.
We said we'd do that about 4 times.
We did. In fairness, we did help them out though.
Yeah, and we left our my sleeping bag and our tent.
That's true. Our ridiculously expensive tent that shouldn't have been as expensive. We did donate to her. Yeah,
exactly. Donate is obviously a very strong word because she did so much for us. We didn't pay for a meal for for the whole week. She had 3 meals a day.
All accommodation.
And bottles of wine, great beds to sleep. She was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I know her. I know her. I worked with her nephew actually in one of the pubs at home as well.
Of course you did. I often say that like it's really weird that my most authentic South American experience came from your mum, essentially, because it was her contact. Oh yeah, no, there's a nun, an Irish nun in South America who's been there for 25 years. I'll see if she's still around.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, she is. Go and have this incredible week that's going to be more interesting and more like cultural and learning about the people than anything else you've done. Like it was incredible. It was so good.
Yeah, it was amazing. But that's like from Santiago that we set up a kind of a base in Santiago, and then we like branched off into different places. Like we were down obviously there for a week, then we went back to Santiago, went to Valparaiso for a few days, and back to Santiago.
So that's
to
on
Mendoza.
the coast.
Yeah, right on the coast. It was nice. It was just somewhere nice. You know, it was the time of year that I wanted to be by the water. Middle of April, and yeah, it was fine. You know, there was nothing spectacular about the place.
Yep.
But it did what it needed to do, essentially, apart from that one guy in the hostel room who had his eyes open and snored for 4.5 hours.
You say snored. I don't think that really shows the
no,
gravitas
snoring
of
is an understatement.
Yeah.
Like, it was just jet engine-esque. It really
It
was.
was ridiculous.
Yeah, but no, that was fun. Met the Belgian girl, Veronique, down there.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, then again, as I said, back to Santiago, and then we crossed into Mendoza for what we had, in a roundabout way, we knew Mendoza was going to be our splurge day, or one of the days in Mendoza was going to be our splurge for Argentina.
Yep.
Yeah, so that turned fantastic, essentially.
It did.
Mendoza
So we
was
found
just-
this restaurant. So Argentina, I mentioned it earlier, it's the place for steak, right? It's the awesome place for steak. Also, the north
Asado.
of Argentina and the north of Chile is the place to go for red wine. And so we went to Mendoza, which is the culmination of the two. It's the combination of the two things. And we found this restaurant that had asado, that's the barbecue, and it was an all-you-can-eat restaurant. So we thought, all right, all you can eat, it's probably not going to be the top quality, but we can have as much as we want. It's going to be our splurge that we're just going to pig out, and we'll have red wine too. It was the equivalent of €10 for all you can eat. And what it actually was properly cooked in front of you, flaying on an open fire, any cut of meat from a cow that you can imagine. The chef was there. You'd go up and say, like, with what type of meat and what cut you want and how you want it done, and he would cook it for you there in front of you. And it wasn't
just like beef or anything like that. There was pork, there was chicken, there was sausage, there was chorizo. You know,
Yep.
it was amazing. And then there was a salad bar as well, but yeah.
Obviously. But also in our hostel, again, this was this listed in, was this one of the reasons we went there? Was it listed in the advert for it?
Yep.
Or was it just a fluke? So it was,
No, it
again, we
was
were there
listed.
for steak and wine.
Mm-hmm.
And the hostel was advertised when we booked it that from 7 till 9 p.m. every day is free wine for all guests. And
so if you've ever seen a red wine it's a Malbec type of wine. Mendoza, look at the back of the bottle. It will say Malbec from Mendoza in Argentina. It is the Malbec capital of the world. And it's like, we're drinking wine for free that's made about 1.5 miles down the road. You know, it was amazing. The Friday that we were there, actually, was National Malbec Day. So instead of paying the hefty price of maybe, $2 for an incredibly amazing bottle of red wine, we were only paying $1.
Exactly. It was brilliant. It was really cool. And again, we were back in the north of Argentina, so we're getting better rate on our dollars, which we got from Chile again. We were living like kings for those couple of days.
Yeah.
And
then, again, we met some more English people there, didn't we?
Did we? I don't remember. Tell me.
A couple of English people and a couple of Welsh, or one Welsh guy. We ended up sharing, like, a couple of them came to dinner with us, didn't they?
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. It was a group thing again. Yeah, that was another group.
There's a couple of English. There's definitely one Welsh, and there was probably a couple of Irish as well.
They're probably your mates. I assume,
Yeah,
from
more
that
mates
kind
of mates, in fairness.
Mates of mates, yeah, that's true.
Well,
No, you're not
6 degrees of separation around the world, 2 degrees for Irish people.
wrong. It's always the way. But and then I think that was it, right, for Mendoza?
Yeah, that was it for Mendoza. Did you do...
Back to Santiago.
Yeah, did you do a wine tour of a winery?
No, we just did the one in Curacao, didn't we?
Yeah, that's what I thought. No, because I know like a lot of the people in our room were going like you could rent a bike essentially and go cycling along vineyards and stuff.
Yeah, no, we didn't stay long because remember we only went to Mendoza for our splurge. That was the purpose of that visit.
Yeah,
so
again, we did
the
2 nights and that was it. And that was enough. In fairness, there's not a lot else to see in Mendoza unless you like vineyards.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean, honestly, I look back at Mendoza as being a really like one of the highlight cities, one of the highlight things. And I think if we stayed for much longer, it wouldn't seem quite as good because there wasn't much to do there. But for the purpose we gave it, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
So we hopped back across the border into Chile, back to Santiago, back to this hostel that we'd been staying at the whole time. We befriended the people there. There were people there that were living there. They were students in Chile, and
that guy was an asshole.
What? Oh, the American guy.
Yeah.
The American guy was a bit of a douche, but there was a Peruvian girl there. There were some other people there that were just really nice, and it kind of felt like a home. So that's why we decided to base ourselves there and sort of make little day trips or weekend trips, or the 1 week to Curacao, which was supposed to be a couple of days, just as a use Santiago as a little base. It was really cool.
And Santiago itself was a lovely city. Like I really enjoyed it.
I really liked it.
It was really nice walking around it. The public transport system that we didn't use a lot, but I know I used it once or twice because I went and met up with Hannah for a drink one of the nights there as well.
You did. She was so we should say when we split up because she was with us on the trip in the mountains and the walk in the mountains, but then she wanted to do more stuff in Patagonia, I think, whereas we wanted to leave, and so we decided, okay, that's where we split up. That's fine, and so we carried on our journey. And she stayed in Patagonia. And because we'd used Santiago as a base and we'd been sort of going here, there and everywhere over the course of about 3 weeks, we hadn't really moved. And she, by that time, had caught up again and was back in Santiago. So you went to meet up with her. Yeah,
just met up for a couple of drinks, essentially. But yeah, no, Santiago's amazing. Like, there's a couple of really nice marketplaces there. You know, the bus station was a bit far away, but it was walkable. It was very flat. In fairness,
it's a very flat city. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But no, Santiago's. Go on.
I was just going to say, from there we got the longest bus journey of the tour, didn't we, of the trip?
Yeah, it was supposed to be about 24 hours, maybe.
Yes.
Maybe 26. I think we were due to have one bus change. I think we were due to have one. What it ended up being was not that.
That's in total it turned out to be 32 hours on the bus. Now, it was I don't know if we were supposed to change buses, but it was definitely supposed to stop for a fuel up, and that's when we got out. You remember in Antofagasta?
Yep.
And but we did end up changing buses because after
a few times.
Oh yeah, that's right, we did. And because every couple of hours to begin with, the bus would break down. And we'd have to get a new bus and wait for the new bus and then get on the new bus to go a couple of hours and it would break down and then we'd have to do the same thing again. Eventually we got a bus that worked. You know, by this time we're delayed sort of 6 to 8 hours and we're going through the Atacama Desert. The reason why this journey is so long is because there was nothing between Santiago and the border with Peru and Bolivia.
Not much at all, no. And of course, bear in mind, we're getting woken up in the middle of the night on a bus. People speaking Spanish to us, us not having a clue what's going on, everyone just getting off the bus.
Yeah, because we don't know that the bus is broken down, or we don't know that they're changing buses, so there's just all this movement, and we know we're not arrived yet. It's supposed to be a 24-hour journey, we're only 4 hours in, but everyone's getting out, and all our bags are being taken out of the bus. We had no idea what was going on. In fact, back in Brazil, do you remember the one time that we got on and the police all came on and searched everyone and took that one guy off the bus?
Yeah.
They were clearly looking for someone.
We should say that about like the border crossings. That happened often at the border crossings. Anyway, you had to get off and have your bags searched because of livestock and customs and stuff like that. It was normal at the borders.
But not in the middle of the country like that
No.
one in Brazil where the police stopped us in the middle of the road, armed police I believe, and got on, took everyone, like looked at everyone's passports to see who we were, and found the guy that they wanted apparently and took him off. That was weird.
Yeah, that was very weird.
So yeah, we're traveling 32 hours through the desert, and it's the driest place on earth. Yeah, exactly, to Arica. But the Atacama Desert is the driest. Or I always say it's the driest place on earth because it is. However, just before we got there, it rained 7 years worth of rain.
Yeah.
And it flooded. I don't know. You might remember in the news there was these huge floods in Chile. That was just before we got there. It was because the desert was so dry it wasn't used to absorbing, so the water just sat on top and washed all these villages away. So it wasn't the driest place anymore, but there was still nothing there. And we blasted all the way to this town Arica, on the border of Peru, Bolivia, and Chile.
Yeah. And yeah, it's actually a really nice hostel. It's a kind of a shame we didn't get to stay there a bit longer. But apparently in Arica there was nothing anyway. So other than the hostel, which was very, very nice, really cool hostel, other than that there was no reason to stay.
No, you're absolutely right, and we didn't. We just stayed that night. I mean, we arrived really late, like 11 I think at night. Had a couple of games of pool and a drink with the owner just because, courtesy and everything, and it was fun. And then the next day got up and got a bus to La Paz in Bolivia, didn't we?
Yeah. Excuse me. Which was really good. It was my second time in La Paz, but the first time there I was waiting for my flight. I was on my own, whatever. So this time around, really got to enjoy it, and it was our first experience of a Wild Rover hostel as well.
The Wild Rover hostel, the Irish again, of course, obviously Irish-run hostels. There's 3 of them. Was there 3 or 4 in across Peru and Bolivia?
3. There's La Paz, Cusco, and Arequipa.
That's right. And they're like party hostels essentially. What I noticed, I don't know about you, is as we got into Bolivia and Peru, the sort of travelers you would see there changed. So in Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, there was a lot of people there who were travelers, who I don't know, more about learning about the countries or whatever, all that sort of cultural stuff. See the nature, the volcanoes, the mountains, the sea, the glaciers, all that good stuff. Bolivia and Peru, although incredibly rich in history, culture, all that sort of stuff, I felt like there were just a lot of people there for cocaine, and just to party. I don't know, I noticed that change, but it was still great fun.
Yeah, definitely. Oh no, yeah, I completely agree with you on all of that. And I think as well, part of that was because we stayed in the likes of the Wild Rover, which obviously had a bar in it and stuff like that. Was it in La Paz that we watched the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight?
I was just trying to think of that. I think it was.
It was La Paz or Cusco. It was definitely one of the Wild Rovers.
Oh, I know that for sure. I think it was La Paz. It was La Paz.
Yeah. So do I.
Yeah. But yeah, we didn't. Well, we didn't stay in the Wild Rover to begin with, did we? Because we chanced it and went for the cheapest one that we could find. That was €2 a night.
Yeah,
and we went
that was
there
a mistake.
First of all, and
I say mistake. I say mistake. It was if all you wanted to do, if all you needed was somewhere to sleep, it was pretty safe and it was fine. Other than that though, if you're looking for even some slightly higher basic amenities, you'd want to go somewhere else.
Like comfort.
Yeah.
No, it was fine. Also, there is where. So we've got your card now, your money card. I'm out of money because we were using my card to get us to Curacao. So now we're using your card to get us to the US. Yeah. My replacement card's getting sent to my family in Texas. So I have to get to Texas basically, and but we're using your card. I've got maybe £100 worth of cash left on my card, and I went to the toilet again. Another bloody toilet story. I was standing up this time, and somehow I think I was wearing a shirt that had like a top pocket, and I don't know if I went to flush it or something, and it fell out into the toilet I just pissed in, and my card is just floating there on the top. So I obviously can't flush the toilet because I'll lose. That's it. Now I've lost both my cards. I need this £100 to get me to Texas, but I've just pissed in it, and so I had to reach in and get my pissy bank card out. Like it was awful. And so we didn't stay in that hostel for very long. We went to the Wild Rover. The Wild Rover was class. It was really cheap, but it was so just modern and it was like a hotel as far as what it was, you know.
Like style wise and amenities wise, you know, and just comfort wise, it was very hotel-esque. Obviously, there's still, 16, 14 people in a room, but the beds were super comfy. There was nice places to sit and chill. It was brilliant. Yeah, it really was.
It was fantastic, really fantastic. And from La Paz, so we should say we're starting to speed up here going through the cities, and the reason was we were starting to speed up to our. We had booked flights to the US because
you were flying from Lima, right?
Lima, yeah.
Yeah, and I was flying from Bogota, but I was flying from Lima to Bogota as well. But it wasn't. I was going to have 5 days in Bogota, which I did. So we're only spending. We ended up spending probably 5, maybe 6 nights in La Paz in total. I guess
it was it was quite a long time, but then from there we were really conscious of the deadline coming up of getting our flights to America, you particularly, because you had to get up to Colombia. I just had to go one more country. You had to go really far.
Yeah, I had to go the other side of the equator.
Yeah, you did, exactly.
Yeah, so then we went to Puno from La Paz, which
on
is
your recommendation, because that's where you
part of the reason we did that is because it's on the way to where we were going. And I was there on the first time around, and it's a nice little spot. It's quite chill. Lake Titicaca is the main point of attraction there, I guess to say. It's the highest lake in the world, and it's quite a funny name, all of that stuff. So we went there, and then you did a day trip, didn't you?
Yeah, I did a day trip out onto the lake. So they were offering. I just got absorbed by the Incan history of Peru and Bolivia, and I just really loved it. And don't forget, for me, I haven't been to Machu Picchu yet. You hadn't been. I hadn't been. I was building up to it, and I was getting excited. I was really looking forward to going there. And so I did this day trip, and it was a boat trip out to one of the islands on the lake, and we went to 2 islands, and the first one was actually man-made. It wasn't a naturally occurring island. It was made out of reeds that do grow in the lake, but they had them down and fold them and shape them, and so they're floating islands, and the houses that they have on there are made out of these reeds. The boats that they use to get to and from the mainland are made out of reeds. But other than going to the mainland to go and get food, because there's nothing on these floating islands, they live traditionally all of their lives on this floating island on Lake Titicaca. It's amazing. From there, we got a regular boat to an actual island where there were more sort of Incan relics and carvings of stone and stuff like that. That was really cool. It was just a really cool day trip. And from there, I was sort of it really wet my whistle as far as the Incan culture and all that sort of stuff. And I was just excited to get up to Cusco, to Machu Picchu. And I think that's what we ended up doing next, wasn't it?
Yeah, we arrived, didn't we, at different times in Cusco. I left Puno first for some reason. I actually can't remember why now.
It was because I was fanboying over this Inca culture,
right?
And I decided to get the tourist bus.
Yes,
you got the regular bus to Cusco because you'd seen it all. You'd done it, and I got the tourist bus because it stopped at a couple of Inca sites along the way.
Yes,
it was 3 times as expensive as your bus and totally not worth it. It was really, really disappointing because it took 10 hours, and I think yours was 3 or something. And it took 10 hours, and it wasn't that fascinating, to be honest. It wasn't that good.
Yeah, but we ended up meeting back up in Cusco. This time around, we said, fuck it, we'll go straight for the Wild Rover, and we did. And I knew Cusco. I was like the local there, come out of the 2 of us, obviously because I'd been there for about 3 days before. So yeah, we just walked around because Cusco's a nice little place. I like it a lot.
Well, that's where we also did another Irish pub milestone, didn't we?
Yeah, the highest 100% owned Irish pub in the world, Paddy's. I do have a
100%,
poster.
100% Irish owned.
Yeah, 100% Irish owned. Sorry. Do have a poster. I didn't bring it with me actually. It's still in my bedroom at home. But yes, we did that, which was nice. And as I said, like Cusco is quite nice. And then that's where we parted ways in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll tell you why we parted ways, and it was because we've been together for so long that at one night in the hostel, I don't know if like you got really drunk or what, but you went to sleep in the wrong bed, and I didn't know where you were, and I recognised you by your shin that was dangling out of the bed, and
yeah.
and I just because. For those, if you haven't travelled, one of the tips for sleeping on bunk beds is if you're on the bottom bunk, you'll stick a towel sort of in the top bunk so it dangles down and acts like a curtain, so you have a little bit of privacy. And it was, for whatever reason, you'd done that and gone to sleep there, and it wasn't where I was expecting you to be. But I couldn't see your face or your body because the towel was covering it, but your leg was dangling out because it was hot. And not your leg, but the temperature was hot. And,
well.
and I just thought, oh, there he is. And from that moment on, I thought we'd been together for too long because I should not be recognising you by your shins.
Yeah. I'm very pleased with the way you told that story and left out some important details. We decided to part ways, and that was... I won't say the main reason. It contributed towards, but the main reason was you hadn't done Machu Picchu,
yes.
and I had. And again, I think we could almost leave that for another podcast and include it in, kind of certain amazing things and places but it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. All I would say is Machu Picchu was the favourite thing I did of my whole trip in South America. I loved it. That was my favourite thing. I'm not going to go too much into it, as you said.
We can do another 20 minutes on it again some other time.
Yeah. What was your favourite thing? What did you like?
I don't know. I like looking through the running order. I was thinking about that. Give people a peek behind the curtain. We have a running order. We're slightly organised, guys. I was looking at that as favourite. I don't know either the World Cup Museum, like the Stadio Centenario, I loved it. The hike, loved it. Mendoza, loved it. The week in Curacao, just outside Curacao, loved it. I'm not sure if I could pinpoint one thing, really. But,
that's such a cop out. I'm the same.
I know.
I would have. I absolutely I have a top 5. I do have a top 5 that I'm confident with. A couple of them are from the US, so I'm not going to say them now. But Machu Picchu is my number one.
Yeah, again, yeah. If you're just talking about South America, I could pick a top 5, but putting them in any sort of order, no idea. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So you did Machu Picchu. I carried on. Just had a night in Lima. Again, couch surfed. Back to couch surf, and it was obviously it's much easier to couch surf when you're on your own because people might only have one couch. Or one spare bed or something. So we struggled to couch surf as a pair. We never were able to as a pair.
We tried, didn't we? We attempted to once, and then couldn't get a bus to that city, so ended up going to Santiago.
Right. Yeah. I managed to couch surf again in Lima, and then flew to Bogota, where I met up with a friend of mine, Pablo and Juan, brothers who I'd known from previous summers in Boston. Great guys. Really great guys. So stayed with Pablo and Juan for 5 days, 4 nights, I think it was. Saw bits of Bogota that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. It was really cool. Had a game of football, which killed me because I hadn't done any proper exercise in 3 months, and it was at altitude. So, yeah, that wasn't fun. I know, that's a lie. It was amazing fun. And then, that was pretty much... How long did you have in Lima after...
after I stayed in Cusco for longer. After you left, everyone that we'd met along the way including yourself, because you'd already been there, had said Lima was nothing special.
Yeah.
Don't need to spend much time there. So I very much had in my head I was just going to use it. I'm going to arrive and I'm going to fly away. So I only planned to have a day or two there, which meant I stayed in Cusco for about a week after I'd been in Machu Picchu, which was great. It was fine. But I got a bus to Lima, stayed in the nice tourist area just because I was ready to leave South America. But I was sort of in my mind I was already in the US. I really had my eyes set on that. And so I didn't really do much for the last couple of days. I went and sat in a park that had I'd say stray. They were street cats, but they were very tame, and they get fed by the locals. They are upkept by the locals, and they're very friendly. And so I just sort of sat in a park with some cats. There were some kids, obviously drama students, I think, that were performing or practicing something for their school. And so I just watched them, stroked some cats, and there was also a guy playing guitar. So it was actually quite nice and relaxed. But that was my last couple of days in Lima, and then then I flew to the US, and that's where the US part of our journey begins, I believe.
And there you have it, guys. That was our journey through South America over just over 2 hours of a podcast. We figured for your listening purposes, we'd split it into 2 parts. But yeah, no, it was, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'd really, really, really like to hear your feedback, or read your feedback. This is just something that we have thought about previously, as we mentioned, but we're getting down to it now, and we want to know the good, the bad, the stupid, the possibly repetitiveness of it, but we want to hear what you think. Share it if you want to. If you don't want to, do it anyways. It's only a click. That repetitive strain injury in your finger isn't going to come from one more click of sharing our podcast. To find us, if you're only connected to us on 1 or 2 platforms, I'm going to give you more information now. We're obviously both on Facebook. James is on Twitter @tweetbelsey, BELSEY. I'm on Twitter @OCRCove, OCRCOVE. That is also my name on Instagram. So, again, I can't really emphasize it enough, guys. Please do, just share with us your feelings about this whole thing. We're enjoying doing it, and we're going to move on talking about different topics. Like our next one is going to be for the USA, which is where we both spent approximately 3 months. Both had very different approaches and travel things, but we both ended up in the same place, which was great. So yeah, unless James has anything more to say.
Just sounded so philosophical the way you put that.
Oh, you know me. Okay, well, that's it, guys. That's us for episode 1, part 2, or episode 2. I don't know. We haven't decided yet. Of the Foley and James, later to be properly named podcast. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.